Have you ever faced the frustration of losing important data when writing JSON files? It can be incredibly annoying, especially when keys with null values just disappear. If this sounds familiar, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to tackle how to retain those keys with null values while writing JSON in Spark. I completely understand your concern. It's frustrating to see your data structure change unexpectedly, especially when you need those keys for your application. You're not alone in this. Many users encounter similar issues when working with Spark and JSON. Let's dive into the specific question at hand. One user recently asked, how do I ensure that keys with null values are retained when writing a JSON file in Spark? They provided a code snippet and shared that keys like accept language, app name, and event timestamp were dropped in the output. Sound familiar? Let's explore how to solve this. So what's happening here? When Spark writes JSON files, it often omits keys with null values by default. This can lead to incomplete data structures, which is not ideal for many applications. Understanding this behavior is crucial for finding a solution. And stick around. At the end of this video, I'll share a pro tip that will help you manage your JSON data more effectively in Spark. To retain keys with null values when writing JSON in Spark, the user should first ensure that the data frame is configured to include null values. This can be done by setting the appropriate configuration option. Next, the user should modify the data frame write operation. Instead of using the default write method, they can use the option to include null values explicitly. After making these changes, the user can proceed to write the JSON file. This should ensure that all keys, including those with null values, are retained in the output. Finally, the user should verify the output JSON file. They can do this by reading the file back into a data frame and checking if the null values are present. Fun fact: did you know that JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation? It's a lightweight data interchange format that's easy for humans to read and write, just like we want our data to be clear and complete. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative solution from another user suggests that if you're using Spark 3, you can retain keys with null values by setting a specific configuration. They recommend adding the command to your Spark session, spark.sql.jsongenerator.ignore null fields set to false. Now, let's see a response from a different user. An alternative solution provided by another user involves using the ignore null fields option available in Spark 3. This option allows you to retain keys with null values when converting a data frame to a JSON file. For users on Spark 2, specifically PySpark 2.46, the user suggests converting the data frame to an RDD with a Python dictionary format. Then, use the save text file method to output the JSON file to HDFS. To replace Python none with JSON null, the user recommends dumping each dictionary into JSON format using json.dumps. Now let's shift our focus to a different response. An alternative solution from another user suggests using Spark version 3 or later. They recommend utilizing the data frame writer class, which includes an option called ignore null fields. By setting ignore null fields to false, you can ensure that keys with null values are retained in your JSON output. Here's the pro tip I promised. Always check your data structure after writing JSON files. This simple habit can save you from unexpected data loss and ensure your application runs smoothly. And there you have it. You now know how to retain keys with null values when writing JSON in Spark. Remember, keeping your data structure intact is crucial for your applications. If you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button for more tips, and don't miss our next video where we dive deeper into Spark optimizations.